sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. I've been waiting on the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. Sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. I've been waiting on the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to TDPhinsTalk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. Listen, as you can see, I got my man Barry Cunningham with us tonight. What's going on, Barry?
And I know you may have to change your title coming in there saying home of the real fans, because everybody says I'm not a fan. I'm not a real fan. I'm a casual. I'm a bandwagoner. I'm not real. It's just, this entire picture is just, it's a facade. There's nobody really here.
AKA the hater or Tuanon Slayer. Man. So, man, since you want to get right in, let's do it, Barry. Listen, man, I want to ask you straight up off the bat then, why do they say you're not a fan? I get the same thing. I want to understand why they say you're not a fan.
Oh, that's easy. If you speak the truth, you are a hater. If you dare criticize the left arm of little G God, you are a hater. You're not supposed to expose any of these things, and you're supposed to be drunk on stats, just stats. Number one passing leader in the NFL, a stocked ballot of Pro Bowl votes. That's all you need to talk about. He is him. But, hey, man, he hasn't won a playoff game. Oh, that doesn't matter right now. He's got 4,000 yards passing. But they haven't won a playoff game. Oh, that doesn't matter. He's got 4,000 yards passing. And then I'll say, hey, listen, I saw this on film, and it doesn't jive with what they think. So everything I say is a narrative. Everything I say is negative. But everything I say is also truth. So I think they have this paradox where they don't really like to look in the truth box. They like to look in the fantasy box. So that's my explanation as to why they hate on me, call me the hater.
So do you feel like that shifted a little bit? Because, for the most part of the season, I know I've gotten it. I know you've gotten it. But after the last, 3 or 4 weeks, do you feel like that's shifting right now within the fan base?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
My last, I don't know, my message has been consistent throughout. And when I say consistent throughout, let me just preface everything. I love Tua the man. I love what he stands for. I love his character. I think everything about him personally, top notch. I don't think you can find a better person. Haven't heard anybody say anything negative about the man Tua Tagovailoa.
I agree.
So after that, my earlier videos when I started this, I started talking. I'm like, hey man, why is everybody trashing this guy? And then December hit when everything that went down with the concussion. And I started talking about it and started talking about being a leader and I started questioning things. That's when I became a hater. But since last December, actually December 28th, I can almost remember the date, I've been completely consistent with everything I've said. And now in the last couple of weeks, I say in the last month, I've had more growth and people starting to come around and go, oh, I remember you said this. And so I think same thing with you, TD. You were here. You've been saying what you've been saying all along, and now people are realizing probably you, me, and maybe somebody else are the only people who have been consistent with the messaging, telling everybody, hey, you need to look out for this. And now a lot of people are seeing it.
Well, you know what? Sit back for a second, Barry. Let me have the floor for a moment, okay?
Okay.
So first and foremost, I watch your content. Okay. As a content creator, I think you may agree with me. We don't have time to watch other people's content usually because we're so busy. We're so busy, taking care of what we need to take care of. But I've been watching yours as of late. And first, I want to say you do an amazing job.
Thank you, sir.
I think, and I'm going to be very descriptive in this, man. I've been watching, especially your shows as of recent, even though you've been doing it. You have your shows, the live streams you've been doing as of late. You have a lot of what I like to call receipts that you provide and that you put on screen. You give the examples, you give thorough explanation, and you have props, you have the video, the audio, you have everything, and you mix those things in the videos. And I just want to say, I think you're putting on a hell of a production, bro.
Thank you, sir.
A heck of a job. It's easy, it's just an easy watch. I'll just put it like that.
A lot of people don't realize. And the same with you, because I hear when you're talking, even though you're very emotional when you talk.
Oh, I'm just yelling at people.
Yeah, but they don't realize how much research goes into what we do. They think we just flip the switch, turn on, and go blah, 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 blah. And everything from the lights, the microphone, the content, you have to research it. You have to, and I see when I watch your stuff, how much you research and how much you can back up what you say. The problem is they don't even like us doing research. They don't even like us showing, hey, listen, here's something we saw, and you may want to take a look at it. And they've got all kinds of excuses why it's wrong. I'm like, okay, you don't have to believe it, but I've researched. I'm just not spouting it, and you're not just spouting it,
I'm glad you said that. And that's going to lead me on a brief tangent and say this. First and foremost, everybody watching, this isn't a show to compare content creators. That's not what we're here to do tonight. But flowers are due for Barry, in my opinion, and being very descriptive on why I'm giving his channel praise right now. But also, when you talked about me doing the research, right? The one thing that I know, doing what we do, if you do research, you know who else does.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you're diving into the film, if you're diving into all the sound bites, all the interviews and detailed of what everyone's saying, all the backstories, everything, you know who else is. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. It's hard pressed. I'm not saying it's not out there because there's a few guys I can name that also does research. but it's hard pressed to find people who are really truly doing research, because if you are doing research, and I'm not to say that I'm right or you're right, we could be wrong, but based off of us thinking we're right, see how humble I am with that, us thinking we're right about the stuff we talk about, there's no way certain people could be really doing research. Like, we would all be coming up with the same conclusions, or at least closer. Like, this stuff is out there for you. It's our job to do all the hours of research, and the viewers get to listen to what we found because they don't have the time to do the research. But it's crazy, man, how far off certain creators are when at the end of the day, it's all out there right in front of us. It's right there in front of our face.
And the thing with it, you also have to know how to interpret. So I could go to a restaurant and read the menu. If I go to, my wife likes French food, I go to a French restaurant, I'm looking at the menu in front of me. That is the data, and I don't have any idea what the hell the menu says. So I have to ask her. I'll say, what would I like, and she'll actually pick it for me. That's the same thing with looking at football data. You can have all the data right in front of you, but if you don't know what you're looking at, if you don't know what the coverage is, if you don't know when this guy plants his foot and how he's going to throw, if you don't know what to look for, it means absolutely nothing. You're just basically regurgitating at that point, which is why I think so many people lock on to stats, because it's easy for them to just pull up ESPN or whatever, PFF, and go, oh yeah, he's got the most yards in the entire NFL. Great. How did those yards come by?
Thank you.
How did you compare them to the good teams, or are you just comparing an overall stat? And I've actually said that to people, and I go, do me a favor, do some division, get in here and look at these stats and extrapolate based upon the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, and look at those games and tell me what they did. And I've talked to people. I'm like, once you look at that and take those games separately, and you realize that Tyreek does nothing against the good teams. I mean, literally nothing.
Stats prove
all-star here, and then you pick up those 5 or 6 games, and it's like the biggest game he had was 90 yards. That's it. Okay. And then Tua he'll throw for 350, 400. You're down to 170, 178. And I don't think they know how to basically focus on these teams that are actually going to matter, because once
everyone's not, they aren't about numbers. See, when we talk about stats, nothing's wrong with stats, but the problem is they don't look at the substats.
Yeah.
They don't look at what the stats mean. Get a little more granular, It's something that I call on my channel. I always say this to those viewing. You gotta beware of the true facts and the false. No, I'm saying it wrong. The true lies and false facts.
Yeah, that goes back to that quote: lies, and statistics.
So if people are out here saying facts, but when you look at the granular data, that's not the reason why. They're putting the facts on stuff to sell their points instead of looking at the granular data. And you brought up a great point. When you look at Tua early in the season, averaging about 340 yards a game, the second half of the season, that number drops drastically to about 240 a game, almost 100 yards a game less. And why? Why?
Well, I always tell people this, and they don't like hearing it. And I think you'll get into it, but I talk about the predictability of the Miami Dolphins offense. And I said, what's happening in terms of, now we've had 2 or 3 different NFL players go, yeah, we know what they're doing. Yeah, they've got tells. We can see what they're doing. And people are like, well, then why didn't they stop it? And what I try to tell people is, I can know that Mike Tyson throws a blast of an uppercut, but if I got in the ring with Mike Tyson, I couldn't stop it. He's going to knock my block off because I'm not strong enough to box a guy like Mike Tyson. So what I tried to compare it to is like those other teams didn't have the personnel that you're seeing in this run. You're seeing top flight personnel who can read what he's doing and execute against it. The Giants didn't have that personnel. The Commanders didn't have that personnel. And so once you put the personnel together with the reads, that spells trouble.
Well, here we are, though, Barry. We're at the end of the season. The season is over. The regular season, there ain't no turning back. Now it's playoff time, right? Now I believe people are allowed to evaluate who the Miami Dolphins are.
Right.
You know, all the talk, wait for the season to end, you know, get a full picture. Okay, we're here now. Okay. Yeah. Now we can start talking about who our team is. And I'm going to tell you who the Miami Dolphins are, in my opinion, from top to bottom. And then I want to get your thoughts on it. Okay. Here's my brief conclusion. Okay. For the sake of time. The Miami Dolphins are a team that has a new coach that has a lot of sparkle around them. You know, a lot of hype around him. But this team has ended with a lot of questions at the coaching position, the quarterback position, and the general manager. Why do I conclude that? Because Mike McDaniel hasn't showed me he can coach. All he showed me is that his general manager can get him more talent than 30 other teams in the NFL and go out and put that on the field in the system and win games off of the talent. I'm not sold on Mike McDaniel because as soon as the talent start dwindling, I don't see any evidence of great coaching when the injuries pile up. Right. Because when the injuries pile up, it has to be on coaching to get us over the hump. But when everybody's healthy and you have the second best roster in the entire NFL healthy, we win games. I'd argue with people, Adam Gase could be coaching all of this talent if it was healthy and we'd be a wild card team. And it'll be hard for you to convince me otherwise. We have been living solely off of talent. And people don't understand how much talent we actually had when healthy. And some people are like, well, if that was the case, why wouldn't every team have this amount of talent? Because we were blessed. We had a rare situation that most teams don't go through. More than half the starters on a rookie contract.
So let me stop you there for a second. I got to tell you something because you're talking about talent. I had this conversation today with somebody, and they didn't understand how we have a wealth of talent. And I said, well, think about the team we're playing on Saturday. All year long, everybody has said, oh, man, their wide receivers suck. Their wide receivers can't catch. How in the hell are they in a wild card?
Yep. Hey, I'll help you out, Barry. Watch this. Everybody listening right now, I want you to count these up. These are really good players on our team. Some of them are elite. Some of them are just really good. All of them aren't, elite. But Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Mostert, A-Chain, Armstead, Jackson, Hunt, Smythe, Holland, Ramsey, Wilkins, Zeiler, Ingold. 14 players with the potential to play this weekend. Try to challenge yourself and go to the Chiefs roster and count how many good players. What I'm trying to stress to people are, despite the injuries, we still have more talent on our roster than half the NFL.
Yep.
Than half the NFL. We were spoiled into this state of, oh, the injuries are going to kill us. Yeah. No, now we're like every other team. Now let's see how good the coaching, how good the O-line, how good the quarterback. Now let's see how good it is. It amazes me how many people crown Mike McDaniel when he's gotten something that like 90% of coaches won't get in their rookie year or their sophomore year. Yeah. Like, come on, let's be honest about this. Go look at the talent Mike McDaniel has on this roster, and we're going to automatically give him the seal of approval of elite coach. I'm actually a fan of Mike McDaniel, by the way.
One player kills that entire argument. One player in the NFL right now kills their argument about we don't have the talent. That one player is Joe friggin' Flacco. Yep. Joe Flacco was sitting on his couch a couple weeks ago and gets a call from Kevin Stefanski, shows up as the quarterback of the team. that's down to, I think, with their third or fourth string with PJ
Fourth.
Walker, and
He's the
fourth string, and he's leading the league since he came back and directing that traffic. And people aren't grasping it. Understand, this guy was basically sitting on a couch watching Netflix, gets a phone call, shows up, starts, had to learn the offense, did everything, and they're killing it right now. They're so hot.
But that team had just about more talent than anyone in the league. The Browns in San Francisco and the Miami Dolphins had more talented rosters than anyone in the NFL starting the season.
But it's a four-string quarterback. That's what I'm trying to say, is that if you're going to have injuries on the offensive line, you're going to have injuries at wide receiver. That team was down to their fourth quarterback. And so I try to point that people like, don't make any excuses. If you know the game, if you can play the game, you don't need an all-star team. They've got a 40-year-old quarterback, and he's out there slinging it. And if we beat Kansas City, we have to face them, right? If they win.
If we beat Kansas City, we'll have to deal with Buffalo, I believe.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Cleveland.
That's if Buffalo loses.
I
don't remember. Right. I might be wrong, bro. I might be wrong. I thought that's what it was. But here's the thing. I want to make sure I'm clear, Barry. That's not to say Mike McDaniel isn't a good coach, but so far his sample size of having a normal team isn't looking good.
All right, so
I'm
going to disagree with you there. Mm-hmm. When you said that Mike McDaniel is a good coach, what were you referring to?
No, I didn't say he was a good coach.
Okay.
I said it's not to say he's not. I just don't know. But I'm looking at his sample size right now, and it's not looking good.
So that's because I don't feel, and I don't know why Stephen Ross did it. Mm-hmm. He had no head coaching experience. He had no coordinator experience. You took a guy who was a run game coordinator in San Francisco and jumped him 2 spots. You jumped him over offensive coordinator all the way up to head coach. And you can tell with the way he's coached for these 2 years that certain parts of the game get away from him. Challenges, clock management, vernacular of calling plays, communicating the plays in. I am so sick of these guys getting communication quote issues over and over again. Like how can you be in the 18th, the wild card round of the playoffs and still have communication issues, which by the way, we'll talk about that with that other guy, because I think you're going to have that problem again this week.
Very well so. Well, my thing again with McDaniel, you have to understand why he was skipped over. He never had to be the coordinator, a play caller, or offense or a head coach ever. The reason why he was skipped over because a lot of people don't know this, but when Brian Flores was here, they attempted to hire Mike McDaniel as the OC, and San Francisco hit him. They were like, no. They kind of said no. They wouldn't even let us talk to him. That was an attempt by our front office. So in an effort to fix Tua, all of this is about Tua. In an effort to fix Tua, they don't care that they don't have a head coach. They just went and got the guy who can tell us if Tua can be the guy or not and prove that. Because all of this is a proving game that Tua can be the guy because of what they went through with the internal civil war. But since he was skipped over, people need to understand Mike McDaniel ain't our head coach. Mike McDaniel is a coach. He is the offensive coordinator who walks around and handles everything overall, but he has no say over the defense.
Right.
He has no call on what they do and why they do it and when they do it. That is full autonomy of Vic Fangio, and that was agreed upon when he came in. And everyone knows that. And what kind of head coach doesn't have control over the whole team?
Exactly.
I mean, let's call it what it is. He can't tell Fangio what to do. Hey, I don't want you to do this. I mean, let's be honest. It's an unspoken thing. Right. You know, that's why we got like 2 or 3 associate head coaches. You know, on the roster.
Frank Smith, you know.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's why I believe he skipped the line, because this was only solely about Tua showing that he could be a franchise quarterback. Now, in my belief, I believe Mike McDaniel never worked on any of his flaws. He just amplified his strengths. And that's where the problem comes, in my opinion. He's not working on the things he doesn't do well. He's just trying to hide them. So every time a team comes in and take away what you do well, and they're giving you everything else, but that goes into that closet of things you don't do well, and we won't even open it. And that's why we're stubborn on the field, keep trying to break through with what we're doing. And that's what I believe.
Did you, a couple of people, I said it in my video, I showed them, and it was second half, Buffalo comes out. They're like, enough with this H-hand shit. This ain't happening. We're going to put 8 people in the box. We're going to stop him from running.
Yep.
And people out there on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, are like, see, Buffalo did that. That's why he had to abandon the run. And I'm like, okay, so football lesson 101, which is another problem. Like you said, he hides his problem. You're telling me an NFL quarterback walks up to the line of scrimmage, surveys what's going on, sees 8 men in the box, and he's not audibling out?
What do you mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Audible. What does that mean? Don't laugh, Barry. Don't laugh. What does that mean? Why are you putting expectations on Tua that don't exist?
Because everybody keeps talking about it. You know, he processes, and I'm like, no. And one of my videos I did it. I'm like, just go back and look at some films of Brady. Look at some films of Josh Allen. Look at some.
First of all, he can't audible. Mike McDaniel wouldn't even allow him to even attempt.
Well, then you're not an elite quarterback. And I said that today. If your quarterback can't audible, you're not elite. Part of being able to audible is understanding, oh, man, there's 8 guys here. Okay, Omaha. I want you to go here, over here. And I already know which play. I've got a hot route for Tyreek or Waddle, whoever, or a tight end, God forbid. And you audible out of it. So you make these guys pay for putting 8 people in the box. You just don't walk up to the line of scrimmage and see 8 guys there and go, here, hand off, and give it to H-Chad, because that's what they want you to do. And when they went into that box and 8 men in the box in the second half, they were saying, we dare you, Tua. We're daring you right now. We're putting the chip off your shoulder and saying, you can't beat us. And people didn't like me saying that, because that's what they did.
That's exactly what they did. And at the end of the day, oh my gosh, this is the sad reality of it, because we learned this under Flores when Tua had an interview and he said, you know, sometimes I'll come out and I'll see the defense and I know this play isn't going to work, but I didn't know the playbook well enough to put us in a better situation. Well, what's changed other than the fact you're not coming out saying that again? I mean, you're coming to the line of scrimmage seeing 8 in the box. Now, don't forget, people talk about we stopped running, right? But we actually tried a few times in the second half.
Yeah.
And it was all of them were runs for a loss because they were loading the box.
Right.
So Mike McDaniel, all right, we got to throw. I can't keep on, like, it's one thing to try to keep them honest, but it's 8, 9. Like, to be honest, they had 7 in the box. The problem was it was 9 because the corners were so low and inside. So it's 9 in the box, technically. Even though they would have backed out and played coverage with safety help, the single high, by the way. But at the same token, Barry, Mike McDaniel actually tried to run a little bit at first. And they were shutting it down, and all of them were negative. You saw it on Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks shows you in the second half. Run to the A-chain, -2. A run to the right, up, -1. Then line of scrimmage. In the second half, Hard Knocks themselves showed 4 runs at the beginning.
Right.
And Mike McDaniel, I think I have to apologize and go back and realize, hold on. So he needs to dial up the throws or audible, but audible's out of the picture.
But I think but by saying audibles are out of the picture, I think too many fans are giving Tua a pass. If your quarterback is elite, he has to know the playbook enough, especially with a receiver like Tyreek, to be able to walk up there. And there were times, I'm sure you've watched games with Brady and Aaron Rodgers and everybody else, where they walk up to the line of scrimmage and they just give a look. They don't even have to audible. Hey, man, you know what to do, don't you? Yeah, I know exactly what to do. And they can execute based upon experience, communication, and relationship. When I see, one of the problems I have is when I see Tua come off the field, he's sitting on the bench all by himself, and he's not communicating with Tyreek or whoever else. They could have inherent hot routes. They could already have, hey, listen, if you see this, I can see it. Which means if I see it, you see it. I just have to nod to you so you know what's coming. So if I nod to you, you know that you're going to run X, Y, or Z route, and we already know what we're going to do.
But I don't think he's allowed. I think Mike McDaniel is stressing, let's stay in the structure. Let's stay in the structure. Let's stay in the structure. Outside of the structure, good things don't happen. Let's stay in the structure. But you got to work on outside the structure if the other team take it away.
Do you remember one? I forget which game after the presser. After the game, the presser that they did, he was really happy. He goes, I called that play all by myself, and it worked.
That's all you need to know. When you see a guy that excited. I saw it too, Barry. It was like, dang, I like you.
Like, that's your job. What do you mean? You're happy? Woo!
Yeah, I called that like. But I felt good about it because at least, okay, are we trying this now?
He probably shut him down after that. He said, don't do it. And the thing is, TD, if you saw it and I saw it, defenses saw it, this guy will not audible out of something. And at that point, again, you become so predictable. And once you get to this time of year, predictability is a killer, absolute killer.
Well, on top of him not audibling out of anything, there's another killer for him too. He won't throw the ball away.
I seen him dunk a couple, but it's not. It's always
in the play of field.
Yeah, field play. Yeah, I'll see him just drop it, which he may get caught on an intentional grounding one of these days. But you only got a couple more days left to do it. So.
Yeah. We're gonna beat the Chiefs, Barry, man.
Oh, this is going to be one of those games where I think people can stop talking about Tua. I don't think it's going to be on him. 15, 20 degrees below zero. I grew up in that kind of environment. I don't know why he went on camera and said, I'm not going to wear gloves because, it's a mindset. Dude, I'm telling you, the Hawk, when you come out the locker room, the Hawk's going to smack your mindset around, and all of a sudden, and at that weather, I'm just praying that he doesn't fumble, that he doesn't lose control of the ball. And I hope that Mike McDaniel is prepared. We're going to run it 40 times. We're going to have H-Hand. We're going to have Wilson. We're going to have Chris Brooks, and we're just going to keep running it. And we'll take some passes here or there. If Tua has to throw 20, 25 times, they're done. They're absolutely done. It ain't going to work.
I'm thinking he's going to have a big game.
Why?
Because it's so Dolphin. Just to spike the delusion back again. I'm telling you, Barry. I'm like
20 to 25 mile an hour winds.
Yep. And Tua going to throw for 300, 3 touchdowns. And the weirdos gonna come out again talking about pay the man $500 million.
Oh, they can't do that. They can't do that.
Listen. There's too much evidence out here of this stuff happening. But let me talk about this real quick because I want to get to what happened last week. I want to ask you about it. There was a situation with Teron Armstead. You reached out. You sent him a message, which I thought the message was fair. Asking football, all X's and O's, asking logical questions. And he actually responded to you, which was awesome to see. Let me put that up. Here's his response. Good afternoon, Barry. The ball wasn't supposed. Well, do you want to tell people what you say at first?
All right. So I had, as I normally do, I don't do a full breakdown. I look to see when things happen and I pick out plays. So I picked out a play where he completely whiffed on the defensive end. I mean, just never even got a hand on the guy. And the guy ended up, this Baltimore Ravens game, the guy ended up sacking Tua pretty hard. At which point I said, what happened here? Was the snap count wrong? Were you pissed off at Tua? What was it that caused you to completely whiff on this guy? And then all the usual suspects before he responded were like, the guy was offsides and this and that and anything. So I posted a second video where I took it down like to the millisecond. And I'm like, nope, he wasn't offsides.
He went right with the snap.
He went right with the snap. And it's funny, one of the tells, people are saying, I'm wondering if there's something that Tua is doing to get people moving on the snap, because the other defensive end jumped.
Both of them moved at the same time.
They knew something, and they were off. As Eichenberg was coming back, they were moving. I mean, it was that fast. And so I said, no, there's no offsides. He blew that block, and nobody wanted to call him out for it. And I wasn't trying to call him out. I'm like, how it was such a bad miss.
Egregious, yeah.
And I'm like, how could that even possibly happen? I mean, it's not like you stumbled, you didn't fall. What happened that made you miss? And I just posed it out there. So then he responded.
Good afternoon, Barry. The ball wasn't supposed to be snapped right here. By the time I realized that it was snapped, it was far too late to save the play. Communications issues that sometimes happen on the road. Big reason why crowd noise is so important. And I thought, Barry, hey, they talking football. That's what's up. Yeah. All is well and all is good. And then all of a sudden, we get who was it? What was his name?
Chris Kaufman.
I don't even know who that is. Is like, who is he officially? Is he like a official beat writer or something?
No, I don't. But he's just a guy on Twitter, as far as I know. I don't know if he's got a website or what.
No, I thought that he was one of the guys with well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. The chat will know. They'll tell us in a second. Okay. But he basically said to Teron Armstead, at some point you start to realize who the trolls are.
Yeah.
And Teron Armstead responded, I thought the guy just wanted to talk ball, which you were. Yeah. And I didn't know he was a troll. LOL. What were your thoughts when you saw how everybody piled on top of that and start trying to attack you over and over?
I expect them to do it. I didn't expect a grown-ass NFL player to cave to them. And so my initial response is, I'm not going to say anything to them because they mean nothing. I'm going to speak to this player. And I came back at Teron and go blah, 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 blah. What the hell's going on? And boom, he blocked me. And I'm like, well, that might work with some people, but let me know what's going to let you know what's going to happen. I'm going to make video after video and show people what exactly you did. Now, very interestingly, put his thing back up again. I want to tell you something that came up about that. I don't know the other one. I don't think that he blocked me or deleted this tweet because of the idiots. I think he took this tweet down because pretty much I would think that someone in the Dolphins social media, because they monitor players' accounts, and what he said here is a problem. Okay,
yeah,
so
of course.
The ball wasn't supposed to be snapped right there. Oh, so the next question was, so you're telling me it was Liam Eichenberg's problem. So you just threw your center under the bus. Because if the ball wasn't supposed to be snapped, it's his fault is what you're saying. Then he says, by the time I realized that it was snapped, it was far too late to save the play. That's bullshit. At that point, your only job is to protect your quarterback. You get beat that bad, go back and tackle the guy. You don't just let him have a free run to the quarterback. And then the last thing I think was probably the worst. Communication issue that sometimes happen on the road, big reason why crowd noise is so important. So you're telling me you had a problem with the silent count or whatever that count was, and that Mike McDaniel did nothing in practice to prepare you guys for crowd noise. Is that what you just said? That's what I better take that off because you threw your coach and your teammate under the bus, not me.
And who was the communication issues on? Because the ball was not supposed to be snapped.
It was at Tua. Did Tua clap his hands? In any event, this is one of the problems I had with the local media. You see something like that, and none of you follow up. If any of you guys are watching this is why some of the problems that you have and why guys like TD and myself bring this shit up is because the local media is so scared of having their credentials yanked. They just don't talk about stuff that, that could be problematic. I would want to know right away who told Liam to snap the ball. I used to be a center. I'm not going to snap the ball just because I feel like it. So it had to be Tua. It had to be Tua. And how do I know it was Tua? Because when you look at the video, all the other guys moved too. It wasn't like the ball snapped and everybody went, oh shit. they all started moving. So either Tehran didn't know the count or Tua snapped it early. And then, again, a communication issue. So if there was a communication issue because it's too loud, let me ask you something, TD. That was in Baltimore. What the hell do you think it's going to be like at Arrowhead this weekend?
Insane, man. Go ahead.
Good.
No, I gotta because I'm gonna be honest with you. That whole situation kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It was almost like manipulative.
Oh, it was.
It was. I feel like Teron Armstead knows who Chris Kaufman was, and basically took his word for it. Which I don't blame Teron Armstead. He's just taking his word for it, but that's manipulation on his behalf to even call you out and say that you were being a troll. When everything that you said was a legitimate, actual question that these guys should be asking anyway if they were doing their research to know that it even happened, because they didn't even know it happened. So at the end of the day, I wanted to ask you, because I don't like the dynamic between media, team, and fans, because here's what I think fans don't understand. The dynamic has changed. The way it used to be is the media reports on the team. They have no bias towards the fans, nor do they have bias towards the team. They just reporting, and the team's trying to clean things up, you know? But it's almost like in Miami, they've gotten in bed.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you're our guy, make sure you're promoting what we do and everything we say. Because every week this year, I go on Twitter and I see 100% team promotion versus team news.
Yep. It's coordinated.
I see player promotion versus player news.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not fair to the fan base, because we'll always be sold something, which is the reason why I started my channel. I only started my channel, number one, I couldn't find enough Dolphin content because I was that like crazy about it. Number two, everything we were told every year never turned out. So who's tripping? Who's messing this up? Like,
go back to your number one. Your number one, you said, was you couldn't find enough Dolphins content. And that's because they are force feeding people. This is the message. This is what you put. It's almost like a political campaign. The way Twitter has become is like, say this, and then they'll all say it in unison. Over the last year, I've become friends with one guy who he and I talk quite a bit. And he admits he can't say what he really wants to say, but he'll tell me, this is. Then I have another guy with one of the bigger newspapers who basically, when I went at him and called him out, he started direct messaging me and go, "Can you please stop this? You're making me look bad." And that's when I realized right there the power of what you do and what I do, and that these guys don't have that same size audience. I won't name the names of the reporters, but nobody's looking at your freaking articles. Nobody is going to the Palm Beach Post or the Sun Sentinel. We have more of an audience. We get more messaging out than those guys do collectively. And they can't take it. It drives them friggin' nuts. And that's why, they label people like you and me trolls, because we're not in the in crowd. But at the same token, the message still gets out because we can ask a question. We can say, "Hey, man, why are you guys playing footsie with Mike McDaniel?" Nobody talks the way that to a coach the way you guys talk to Mike McDaniel. You don't ask any questions. How the hell is he not out in Kansas City this week early trying to get these guys acclimated? You're going to leave tomorrow and show up and play Saturday? Good friggin' luck. How come that it hasn't happened? You're not asking the right questions. One of the things I wanted to find out is, and I got a question for you, just an opinion, because now I'm going from fact to opinion. My opinion is, are some of these guys shutting down for the year because they're kind of hurt and they may be making a business decision? Hey, man, I'm not 100%, but I ain't going to be even 80% in negative 20 degrees. So I might have to sit out. And something came out today, and I asked a bunch of people, what the hell does this even mean? One of the things one of the doctors, or not doctors, but McDaniel said was he didn't want someone playing who couldn't finish the game.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, did you hear that?
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
I have no clue. It makes absolutely no sense.
No.
We need to know that they could finish the game. What does that mean?
You don't know anybody's going to finish the game. You don't know Tua will finish the game. So if I can give you 80% and help the team, and then you can pull me maybe, you're saying I don't even want to play you unless I know you can finish the game. And not a single guy in the media went, excuse me, what the hell does that even mean? That's gobbledygook. What do you mean you won't play a guy unless you know he finished the game, which means you would never field a team ever. Yeah. So then that made me think, how many games did he pull guys, except for Bradley Chubb? How many times did he pull guys, tell them they can wait a week because he didn't think they could finish a game? And now you're in a position where, the guys are used to it. Hey, man, I mean, you saw the video of Jalen Waddle out there doing practices the other day and running routes. He looked pretty good. I understand he wasn't going full speed, but at the same time, is a 75% ready Jalen Waddle better than a fully ready Cedric Wilson? I don't know. So,
I would think so. But are they making, like you said, are they making business decisions?
And I wouldn't blame them. Yeah, I wouldn't blame them a bit. I
mean, you're onto something from an opinion standpoint, because a lot of these guys are on contract years. A lot of these guys may be cut in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Why go out and suffer further injury or something like that when free agency is going to do nothing but kill my market? Right. So in prime example, guys like Xavier Howard, and guys like Waddle too, is like, I hope he plays, but at the same token, your agent deserves to be in that office this offseason and trying to get your money.
Isn't Mostert on a 1-year deal still?
Yeah, Mostert's, yeah, exactly. Well, I think no guarantees or something like that.
Right.
So his agent's going to want to come in the front office and say, hey, give us an extension, or this ain't right, because he's going to be making 3, and what he did this year can get him 5 somewhere, Mm-hmm. So a lot of that, we don't know, but it's something to think about, because that's the reality. This is a business at the end of the day.
If you magnify that, if you've got a bum knee, both my knees are still hurt. So today it was raining in Boca. So when it's cloudy and rainy, I still feel it in my knees. I cannot imagine somebody like Mostert, who's a high profile athlete, if his knee and ankle are hurting, what's going to happen when he shows up in minus 15-degree weather? Yeah.
And you're a Pro Bowler for the first time in your entire career.
Yeah.
You rather be cut, because I think there's a lot of problems on this roster. Again, Mostert is a prime example, making $3 million next year. It's like, I just had 21 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, I just made the Pro Bowl the first time in my career.
Right.
Like, I'm playing my best football and I'm old. But this might also be my last chance to get a bag.
Yeah.
So Miami, give me a bag.
Yeah.
Because I got $500,000, $600,000 of dead cap.
Yep.
Y'all could cut me like that. I have no guarantees.
Yep.
I know I'll make the team, but maybe I want to go try to get a little 2-year deal somewhere, 3-year deal worth 11, 12 million. So I can get a little bit more money before my career is over. One more major injury, and that could be it for me, given my age. So
now, talking about contracts, did you hear what Tua's people said? So somebody had sent me a link to, I'll send it to you. Sent me a link to
boy.
Oh, you didn't see this, huh? Somebody sent me a link to Big O show. And on the Big O show, Cameron Wolf was on the Big O show. And he's on NFL Network, right? So he's a different guy on Big O show than he is on the NFL Network. And he said that he heard that Tua's people said they're not waiting. They don't want the 5th-year option. They want the bag in March. And so they're basically pushing the chips in and telling Chris Greer, pay us. We're not going to go next year. Now, Cameron Wolf, I don't know his source, but can you imagine if
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't two of his guys say that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even need a source to tell people that.
Yeah.
Because if you're an agent, you'll be an idiot if you're not trying to.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're willing to sit out.
Yeah.
And cause chaos. So, because you know your guy probably ain't gonna never do this again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
I'm just saying, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it what it is. And he stayed healthy. You can't guarantee that next year.
Mhm.
You know,
Pro
you can't
Bowl-
guarantee none of these things.
And so what do they do at that point? What do they do if two of his people push the chip in and say, we want $300 million or we're not playing?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you now, Bill. I got your answer, but let me tell you, you know, usually on my channel, I go through every potential of what is gonna happen. I go through every scenario of this could happen, that could happen. I detail it, I outline it, I tell you why. This is the first time I ain't going through no scenarios. I got them all in my head. I got like 4 of them in my head, but I ain't going through none because they gonna pay him.
Yeah.
Because it's not, they're going to pay him not because of the situation, it's because of the civil war that ensued.
Yeah.
You have to declare he's your guy now and be looked upon favorably like you were right in the whole Flores thing.
All right. And then
could you imagine them moving on? Then why did we go through what we went through in Flores? Why did Stephen Ross have to make a decision between you and Flores over Tua? You see what I'm saying? So they have to sign him because they would never concede they were wrong and they made the wrong decision. So they got to go down that road.
And then if you do that, depending on how it's structured, where are you going to get the money to get everything else you need?
No, you're not. You're not. The team you see now is a reflection of what you're going to have in the future when you do pay him. That's not next year. That's not the year after. The money ain't gonna kick in 26, really. You know, because they're gonna back end it. But at the same token, this is the roster you can get used to.
Yeah.
And people don't understand salary cap. They think, yeah, but the cap will go up by then. You know, it'll make up for that 30, 40 million. When the cap goes up 10%, every position in the league just about goes up value 10%. Now, some teams may choose to value one position more than the other, but that's why it's a chess game. That's why you got all these weapons, but your linebackers and your linebackers suck now. You know, and we can't never get no good linebackers and no linemen. And then whenever you sign Tua, we probably gonna have bad corners because it's gonna be hard to find the replacements for the future. Then whenever we finally find the corners, we're gonna be trash at wide receiver again. Then when we fix the wide receivers, we're gonna be like, man, we need a running game. Why can't we find a good running back anymore? That's 10 years from now. And then you're gonna look up and be like, dang, we're right back in the situation. Just went through what we went through in the early 2000s in the teens, all over recycled. And if Russell Wilson didn't teach you a lesson, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what will. Barry, one thing you may not know this because we didn't know each other back then when I started my channel. I made a lot of bold proclamations, bold assertions, bold predictions based off of my theories that I had composed on my research of the NFL. And what I had found literally 10 years ago, because this money thing with quarterbacks started about 10 years ago, because these quarterbacks used to get like 8-9 million a year and nobody remember that, you know, and then they start getting 12 and then 16 and people are like, whoa, 16. Then the 20s, and they don't understand how quickly it accelerated. They don't understand that back in the day, if you kept the same progression, quarterbacks would be making about 28 today, and that would be massive. But we're in the 50s, and 2 years we'll be touching 60.
Yeah.
So they don't understand how fast it's gone. And when I did my research, I said, Russell Wilson's not as good as y'all think. He has the perfect structure around him. He has one of the best O-lines in the NFL. He has one of the best running games in the NFL, led by Marshawn Lynch. He has a great receiving core. All you got to do is bludgeon the ball, run the ball, play action. He is a passer. He does have skill, but he's a system guy. And this was when he was winning accolades, Super Bowls. What did they say? You're an idiot. I said, then they had to pay him. I said, if I were y'all, I would draft the quarterback and sit behind him 1 year and then don't pay him. And because you could do this with multiple quarterbacks. Could look at Geno Smith today, by the way. I said you could do this with another system quarterback as long as you keep the system around them. What, you just gonna let him walk? No, trade him. How would you trade a top 5, top 10? Y'all don't get it, do you? Okay, let's go through. I always said on my channel, this was about 5 years ago, time will tell. They gave him his first deal. They ain't got out of the first round since.
Nope.
And then when it was time to give him his next deal, his agent said, if you don't do it now, we ain't gonna give you no discounts later. I said, trade him or let him walk. And you're just gonna let a top guy walk? I'm like, why is it so hard for y'all to understand? Do your research. A top quarterback is hard to come around. Have you ever thought about the fact that they're a top quarterback because what's around them? Yeah. You know the real elite ones. Yeah. You know who the real elite quarterbacks are. Then you got the guys who got everything around them. Stop giving them more credit than you think. And now look at today, Barry. Look at today, Barry. Look at today, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he had the opportunity. Sean Payton stepped in there and said, we're going to do things a certain way. The system didn't work with him, and he just couldn't make it happen. But now with all these coaching changes, everyone who's out here who hates and calls him the social media quarterback, you watch what happens with Justin Herbert when he gets a good coach over there. I mean, it's going to change a lot of things. A lot of people are going to – next year, I predict, is going to be the year where people start going, why didn't we draft Justin Herbert? I think people are going to see a much different player than they've had under Brandon Staley, because Brandon Staley didn't know how to nurture and develop a young quarterback. But in regards to Tua, Mike McDaniel, if they lose this weekend and they're one and done again, in that show I was talking to you about the Big O, he was pushing that Mike McDaniel would be on the hot seat next year, which caused a lot of people to be pissed off. And I'm like, well, he ain't going nowhere because, again, like you're saying, they've already been pot committed because they made it such a spectacle that they have to stay with McDaniel and Tua, even if it's to the detriment of what they're hoping to do. My concern is, how do you keep Tyreek?
You're not, but Tyreek, next year is his last year.
Yeah.
Next year is Armstead's last year if you don't move on this all season. But the way you restructure the contract and kick the can, that hurts. People don't understand that either. The money that, the salary cap's going to go up. Do you know how much dead cap we're going to be sitting on for the next 3 years after we start cutting people this offseason? You think Ogbah's sticking around? Dead cap. You think, they got to make some moves. You got Xavier Howard. What you going to keep on down this road? Knowing them, they probably will.
I don't know, man. Doesn't make any sense. So who you got this week? I know who you got. How do you think it's going to transpire this weekend?
I have no clue.
No clue.
I have no clue. I don't know how we going to win or how we going to lose, but I'm saying we going to win because the Chiefs ain't been great this year, and I feel like we could break through and get one, luck out and grab one, and next week we just get embarrassed. I mean, it's the truth. That's how I feel. We're gonna get everybody back in their delusion, which is the worst thing for us. And then next week we're gonna get embarrassed again. But that first playoff win, look at what McDaniel and Tua brought us. That's what I already know what's going to happen.
So what happens if it doesn't?
It will, Barry. It will.
What will?
It'll happen.
Oh, you think they're going to win?
Yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win. This is the curse of the Dolphins. It's the curse of us. I'm telling you, you don't understand. Let me tell you, the curse of the Dolphins is a state of doing things that you just can't. We don't know how to evaluate the future.
Okay.
That's the problem with the history of our franchise since Marino. Even with Marino, as far as I care, he ain't never win no Lombardi. So
Yep.
we don't know how to look into the future based off of current events, putting the data together and looking at the long-term picture. We don't know how to do it. And you know why? Because we don't even evaluate every element fairly.
Correct.
We let our emotions get in the way. We let our biases get in the way. We won't evaluate it for what it is fairly. The Miami Dolphins need independent people that have nothing invested in the team's success to really evaluate and tell Stephen Ross what it is. Until that happens, we're going to continue being in this situation.
Well, I wish I could have your optimism, but the data tells me otherwise. To me, in order for the Dolphins to win this weekend, they have to have a top-tier performance by Mike McDaniel, a well-managed performance by Tua, and the running backs, because of the weather, are going to have, and the offensive line that's been patched together is going to have to blow some holes out there. I think one of the things that McDaniel is going to realize is that by not having brought in a tight end, that how much you need that in the postseason. When you can't throw and you need that extra body in there to help block you don't have a blocking tight end. I mean, you realize, I bet Kansas City runs some formations where they not just have one tight end, they may actually have 3 tight ends on the field. If you saw what Buffalo did when they had Knox and Kincaid both, and they had not McDaniel, but Fangio had Ingram chasing down tight ends.
Yeah.
So to
what
me,
you think gonna happen this weekend?
Like I said, unless McDaniel comes up with a top level performance as a coach and makes the right adjustments, and that's my concern. My concern isn't whether or not Miami has the talent. My concern isn't whether Kansas City we're overmatched by playing Kansas City. Not even the weather. I've seen too many games in a row now where he makes no adjustments whatsoever, and because he's trying to cater to Tua and or Tyreek. Yeah, we're basically a fumble away from having 3 straight consecutive losses. That Cowboy game could have went really easy and been a loss. So you could have lost to the Cowboys, the Ravens, and Buffalo, if not for just a couple of things here. I mean, and then Jason Sanders having an unbelievable game, kicking 4 or 5 field goals, and most of them beyond 50 yards. That's unheard of. I mean, that's Herculean. So you could be going into this having lost the last 3 games of the season, and in none of them have you made the adjustments to make your offense worthy. Jason Sanders kicking 5 field goals. You scored 1 touchdown against the Cowboys. 1. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Because it was 22 to 20. The offense has been stale since the Dallas game. And you think, okay, so, you know, there were some problems.
Before that, Tennessee.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, playing these teams. So you went into the Dallas game and said, okay, this is going to be a big game. We're going to have to call some plays and we're going to adjust. And you did adjust and you almost got beat. Then you went into Baltimore and got ass spanked. And then you went into Buffalo, came down here, and all 3 games, you know, you do your live broadcast, I do mine. People ask me, what do you think is going to happen? I used to say, well, Mike will adjust and take this away and he'll do this. And for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I sit back and go, damn, he's doing the exact same thing. It's like he didn't do anything in halftime except go take a pee and drink some water. And so I don't know. I don't have any faith, given what I've seen the last month or so, that he's going to adjust. And this week, you're going up against arguably one of the biggest minds in NFL, and Andy Reid. And Andy Reid, in terms of how he can adjust and what he's going to see. I mean, anything. Our offense is already predictable. Now it's going to become transparent. And that's what my concern is, because you know the limitation of Tua. You know the limitation of the offensive line. So it tells me that your only hope right now is that Achane, Mostert, if he plays, and Jeff Wilson are going to get 100 yards in both halves.
Carry you.
I just don't. I haven't seen the adjustment that I would think an NFL coach would make to make it, you know, that you could win.
And even that Cowboy game, Barry, everybody lauds about, Tua had to come the game-winning drive. We ran more on that drive than threw the ball. You know, it was a great balance of the offense. You know, at what moment will we have the big moment for our quarterback? And on top of that, I know you don't have optimism about this game, but I'll say this: if we do lose this game, look at how the season ended.
Mhm.
I want people to understand the narrative here. If we lose this game, it doesn't matter the conditions. Everybody let me tell you why it's too much emphasis on the conditions. It's the NFL. In September is too hot, and in January is too cold. The problem with Dolphin fans, we ain't used to playing at this time of the year, so we're acting like, there's an excuse. No, if we're gonna be the great team long term we want to be, this ain't no excuse. This is gonna be normal.
Yeah, it's gonna happen every year.
Normal. So. And it may be the coldest game ever, but it ain't no different than when it's 5 degrees on the normal. So listen, if we lose this game, this is all I see in my head. Mm-hmm. And it all got to do with Tua. This is all I see. Rookie year, Buffalo. Win and you're in. Flaked out. Terrible game.
Right.
He was a rookie. Yeah. And you see your boy, what's his name in Houston? CJ Stroud is too.
Yeah.
But then you got sophomore year. Don't lose to Tennessee or you bounced. Got obliterated and looked terrible. It was the cold weather, though. If that was the cold weather, then what the heck we about to expect?
Oh, yeah.
Last year, critical stretch of the year. We're getting in here, man. We're here. Look at all these wins. 4 straight losses and played like a bum in most of them.
Right.
And then wasn't there to finish out the season.
Correct.
And that's terrible. And then these people, if Tua was there at the end, we would have. Look at us now. The sad thing is, if Tua would have got hurt the game before Tennessee, they would have been blaming Mike White or Skylar Thompson for the way the saves it. Man, Barry, if Tua would have got hurt before the Tennessee game, all we would be hearing is, if Tua was playing, we wouldn't have lost to no Tennessee. I think we would have beat Buffalo and Baltimore and the Chiefs. That's all we would have heard. But look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. And here we are this year, and there you have it, man. All I see is a guy who starts out making a few plays, having a few games, and then by the end of the season, I haven't seen Tua have a good last 2 months in the NFL yet, including this year. I haven't seen it. In the most important time in the league, I haven't seen great play yet. Come on, man. And this is what we're committing to? This is ridiculous. I don't even get the logic. And here's what everybody says, Barry. Then what you going to replace him with?
Yeah. I hear that in comments all the time. And it's funny because some of that stuff happens from some of these media people. They put the answer out there. So you make sure if anybody out there is talking differently, whether it's TD or Barry or anybody else, you ask them who you're going to replace them. So somebody asked me, and I said, it's January during the season. You have no idea who's going to be available. Did you know yesterday that 8 coaches would be available? Did you know that Vrabel and Harbaugh and all these guys? You didn't know. Same thing's going to happen at the end of this season. You don't know who's going to be available. Exactly. Then we can say that guy might be okay to bring in.
And the point of the matter is making the attempt. And if you can't find better, you stick with Tua.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's not about just moving on from them. It's about trying to make your roster better and the long-term outlook better. And if you can, you do it. And if you can't, then you stick with Tua. But let me pull this up. Real quick, Barry. This is what I'm trying to help people see, man. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. If you can see it. Could you see it, Barry?
Yeah, I'm leaning in so I can see it.
They could hear us, so I'm going to put us I'm going to make it full screen. They can hear us, and I'm going to actually blow it up for those to see, okay? And you know who this is, right?
Yeah, Russell
Wilson, right? This is the whole point that I'm trying to make to people. Let's go back to the first 4 years when he was a Seahawk, when he's a Super Bowl, all of that good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, even look at year 4. Is that not Tua-esque? Matter of fact, it's better.
Mm-hmm.
It may be less yards, but the touchdowns to interception ratio way better. They ran the ball evenly as well. They didn't even have the offensive weapons collectively that we have. They may have had the O-line though. But ever since then, man, the stats are always there. But
look at 2020.
Yeah, the stats are always there. But what has it ever amounted to when you're paying them all that money? So do you think they would have done themselves a better service if they would have gotten them a young quarterback so they could continue to afford the Legion of Boom, the great O-line, and just get another system guy like Purdy and these type of guys to come in and function, and they might have a few more rings?
Of course. Of course it makes sense.
But we don't look ahead. We just think that, well, we got a guy throwing for 4,000 yards, man. You don't get rid of those.
Well,
I bet you Seattle wish that they had did it on that second contract renewal.
Mm-hmm. So you got a guy that throws for 4,000 plus yards this year playing for Miami. And if for some reason they're out on Saturday at 11 o'clock at night, those 4,000 yards mean absolutely nothing. It's the same thing you're pulling up. They're just numbers on a screen. There's not an owner in the league who says, I'm happy because you threw for 4,200 yards. Just there's not a single owner. I don't care. You know, I mean, one of the things I've said is I don't care if Tua throws for 50 yards this week. If they win, congratulations. It's not. There's too many people who are fans of Tua and not as strong about the team. And that's one of the things I've had a problem with all along is forget one guy. Nobody's bitching that Tyreek's not getting 200 yards a game as long as they win. At this point, that they tried to do the 2,000 yards is not going to happen. But you're not mad because he didn't hit 2,000 yards. Why would you be mad if Tua threw for 50 yards yet they still won? There's a guy who we played last week who I believe a couple weeks ago had 75 yards passing. Josh Allen had like 75 yards passing, only threw the ball, 12 or 14 times in that game?
Yeah.
And they win.
As long as they win. But he also impacted the game in so many ways.
Well, that's because the guy, he can take the game over.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
We don't have a guy who can take the game over, and that's a big problem in Miami. And it's crazy to me how much advertising our writers do about this team and the players. And as soon as we lost to Buffalo, why did the whole narrative shift?
Because it had to. You couldn't put they didn't want, in my mind, they didn't want to compare it to Tua. So they had to change it over. That's what I'm thinking. Because if you put Josh Allen, because a lot of people, I didn't know until today, I was watching a video. I think Josh Allen went 14 of 15 in the second half. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, 14 of 15. Boom.
I know it was good.
Yeah, that was very good. And so they just have to switch the narrative so you don't focus on what's going on right here. And of course, you saw it, that last interception, how everybody quickly said it was Claypool's fault.
Why are we talking about a crisp out? Why do we keep talking about if he would have went straight down to 25? How you know this man route depth? I am blown away. They're like, all he had to do is go straight down to 25. How you know his route depth? Yeah, he rounded it a little, but how do you know his route depth?
How do you know what Jordan Poyer, or whatever that guy's name, wasn't Jordan Poyer, whatever that safety, how do you know he didn't see Tua let the ball go and would make none of it made sense. And I'm like, who are these people who are saying it's Chase Claypool's fault?
Another thing, how do you know it wasn't a corner? And he started rounding it when he saw it coming short. How do you know? How do you know for a fact that the route was supposed to be a deep out? How do we know it wasn't a corner route? How do we know?
Nope. And of course, the team's not going to tell you. No one's going to hear McDaniel, or no one at the presser is going to say it. So again, everything goes to cover Tua. He's the man who threw it. He threw it when he threw it. There were guys underneath that were open. He could have thrown it to. He only needed a first down right there, and he chose to. He chose to, as you know, he chose to throw it to a spot, and
right to a spot. And he might actually been off on that spot because the way Claypool actually ran it, it looked like it was a corner route. And then when he identified the ball, he tried to come back, and then people like, oh, that must have been an out. No, go watch what he was doing. He was sticking that corner, and when he saw the ball, and then he starts turning, making you think it was an out. I think it was a corner route the whole time.
And never mind the fact, which a lot of people don't notice, I'm sure you notice it, the term hospital ball. You know what a hospital ball is? Hospital ball is when you throw a ball to a wide receiver where you're laying.
Yeah. Tua been throwing that like crazy lately. Tyreek getting fed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyreek took a lot of hits in the back lately, and all of them Tua's fault. Tyreek got that. He's yelling on the field. He's getting He's getting frustrated, Barry. He's getting frustrated. Tua's putting a lot of these guys in and he's making a lot of hospital throws, bro.
And because now that they know what they're doing, you got safeties coming in and linebackers ready to separate your head from the ball. And then on top of that, some of them you throw behind Tyreek and you're just laying this guy out. And, people aren't looking at this stuff. Oh, Tyreek's dropping the ball. Well,
why are you putting it in a position where he got to jump off his feet anyway to get it?
Way up, some of them. Some of them so high. Good thing guy's got a good vertical because he can get way up there. But you're putting these guys in position where who said it? Brady said it in his interview with
Waddle been getting banged up too doing it.
Yeah, but Brady said it. He goes, the game has changed, and these quarterbacks don't know how not to throw the ball so that guys can get whacked like that. You're laying
and
these
then
guys.
You're penalizing the defender.
Yeah. And dude, guys like Ray Lewis couldn't play football today. Nope, couldn't, because he would destroy you if you're coming across the middle. You'd have receivers with their arms out like this because they wouldn't want to get in front of Ray Lewis. And can you imagine guys like Ronnie Lott playing today? These guys, they would eat these guys for lunch. But see,
but that's because the quarterback put them in those positions, man. They can't do that. It's messed up. I got a theory, Barry. It's a theory because I personally, this is my opinion. I still don't feel like I have a large enough sample size to make it for me to feel like it's the case. Okay. Tua's rookie season. Me and a couple guys that talk Dolphin football all the time, we felt like his arms start dying in the last 3 weeks. Even though he didn't play the full season, it was almost like, dang, his arm's wearing out almost. When you look at the throws, go back to the last Buffalo game, the Jets games before that, in his first season. And it was like, yeah, but we don't know because, it was small sample size. The second year comes, same thing. Looks like it's dying out. But again, injuries and all of that, we don't know. We don't know. Last year with his issues and all of that, I felt like his arms start dying again with those games. You like we don't attack down the field as much, and when we do, it's underthrown. The accuracy past 10 yards has been faint. And I'm like, his arm might be dying out. And here we go. We come into this year, and am I not seeing the same thing?
Which games?
Look at the last one. That's your best sample size because a lot of those deep balls severely underthrown.
I don't know his early years, but one of the things I've been thinking of is I would never call a grown man afraid, but I will say that he seems to have some trepidation where he's hearing footsteps that aren't there. If you look at some of the game film,
patting that ball.
Yeah, he's got time, but he looks nervous. He looks like I have to throw it. And it's just not a calm, let me just hit this. And so maybe that's, again, as you get towards the end of the year, you're playing increased competition as well. And that this guy coming off the edge or that, watch this weekend when he knows these guys are top level competition and Spagnuolo is going to come after him with all kinds of stuff. maybe the short arm is because once you get into the later part of the season, you're playing against better competition, that trepidation comes up, and you have an issue. I mean, that could be as simple as that. But one of the things that concerns me, where people start saying Tua is an elite quarterback, is, and I said, if you can't throw an audible, call an audible, you're not an elite quarterback. The other thing that bothers me, TD, I wanted to bring it up to you before we closed, is you are telegraphing to every team in the league, if it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, goal line situation, your quarterback is never going to run a quarterback sneak. This guy is not going to stick his head in there. So if you're protecting him that much where he can't run a quarterback sneak because you're afraid his noggin's going to get hurt, he's not elite. I mean, even Tom Brady wasn't a runner, but he would run a quarterback sneak. I'm not expecting him to be Jalen Hurts, definitely not expecting him to be Josh Allen, but every other quarterback this time of year, even old Joe Flacco, will run a sneak if he has to. I'm a defensive coordinator. I'm looking at the Dolphins. I know 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. What's McDaniel going to do? He's going to throw it.
A quick out, trying to get a quick out to Tyreek.
Yeah.
Tight end slipping out of the backfield every time. It never fails. What we don't do is even run it. They won't even use Jeff Wilson sometimes to try to punch it in.
So in terms of his arm getting things, I just feel like, to what you were saying, it's part of the increased competition at the end of the year that is making him just have a little bit of the willies.
Well, there's another theory too, though.
What?
This was serious, and we got to
medical.
Yeah,
I know.
Tua might be hurt.
Yeah,
that little thumb may be bigger than it seems, and he playing through it because he don't want that stigma.
Did you see
I can't play because of my thumb.
Did you see his face inside the press conference?
Oh, you mean when you look like you wanted to cry?
No.
What?
This was before the game. This wasn't after the game. One of the press conferences in the middle of the week. One of the guys said something blah 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 about your thumb. We saw this on Hard Knocks, and he was
like, "Oh, they showed that."
Yeah, they showed that. Like, were they not supposed? Was showing your thumb off limits? And
I can guarantee you certain things, they're very strict. I don't want you doing this and doing that to Hard Knocks. People don't think Hard Knocks is filtered. It's filtered too.
So this week on Hard Knocks, I don't watch it, but somebody texted me and said every time they showed a shot of like a candid shot of Tua, he had his hand in his pocket. And notice we didn't know about Tyreek's foot being in a boot until his house caught on fire, and the overhead helicopter. I'm like, is that he got a boot on his foot? No one in the local press said anything about his foot being in a boot, and so maybe you are correct by saying there is something wrong with this thing.
He might be hurt, but they don't want that to be the narrative because he got a payday coming.
Yeah, so that very
know.
Very well, because some of those passes against Buffalo just looked, dude, that was ugly.
But Barry, this started 3 weeks ago when the thumb first got hurt.
Yeah,
remember there were a lot of games where in the last 3 games where he's had a lot of off passes, uncharacteristics,
way off.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know if they're just trying to, not the team, but maybe just Tua and his agent.
You think he's doing? You don't think he is so close to McDaniel? I got to believe if there's something wrong, McDaniel knows.
No, because think about what's at stake. Say his hand is hurt. It ain't broken or anything, but it's that type of hurt where I need to let this rest. I need to make sure I stop the wear on it. But I got to play through this. Right. And then I don't want to be, I could be on the injury report with a thumb, but I'm playing through it. It's all good. But if I'm on there, you got to miss a week because of your thumb or your hand or whatever. That shoots all kind of narratives, especially late in the season. Think about if he would have missed, say he would have missed the Buffalo game and we lost.
Yeah.
See, we can't rely on him when we need him. We would have beat Buffalo and had the number 2 seed, and it's his fault. That would have been the narrative. And I'm not saying that the troll as in it happened anyway with him, but it would have been worse looking on him. You ain't there when we need you the most. Same thing with Baltimore. Any game, if a doctor would look at his hand and say, you need to just sit 1 week, get that right, and then you're good to go, he can't afford to.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if you're going to go play in negative 20-degree weather and you've got a ligament problem or anything regarding muscular or bone in that weather, it's going to affect you big time. I mean, maybe that's why he said, I'm not wearing gloves, because once you put the gloves on, does that cause a problem? I mean, the mobility in his fingers, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make any sense why he wouldn't be wearing gloves in that kind of weather, given the snap problems he's already had with Liam Eichenberg. And obviously he hasn't practiced with the gloves on. So he's going into Kansas City completely cold, no pun intended. He's going in Kansas City hoping for the best. And McDaniel has just nodded along. So that's one of the things that concerns me. And if you're saying that his thumb may be injured, that cold weather can wreak havoc on bones and ligaments and stuff like that.
And yes, for those watching, it is on his throwing hand.
Yeah, his left hand.
It's his left hand that's injured, but they don't talk about it. If you notice, they do not talk about it at all. But it continues to be on the injury report for how long? Is this not the third or fourth week?
Was it on there today?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he's over it now. Let's see. I can tell you. Give me a second.
Not sure if they put him on here today.
I know he had something, a shoulder, and
he's not on it at all.
He's not on the injury report anymore at all.
Not at all. Not even named.
Well, maybe that's it. It ended then. Maybe this is the week we get the better version.
But it's scary that the entire secondary is all of them.
Well,
Howard didn't practice, already out. Deshaun Elliott did not practice all week long, questionable. Javon Holland did not practice all week long, questionable.
So they're not practicing tomorrow, are they?
No, they're done.
Yeah, you don't practice tomorrow.
But I mean, they had Tuesday, Wednesday. They had a walkthrough Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday practice. They may do. They're gonna have to get on a plane sometime tomorrow. So
thought about that.
None of the secondary practice this week.
Well, Ramsey, right?
Ramsey had limited practice. He was limited all week long. All the rest of them, Howard, Elliott, and Holland, no practice. So you're going out to Arrowhead cold, no practice. Got to do it from memory.
Wow, that's insane. I'm seeing it now. Hold on.
Yeah.
Isn't the injury report on the main site?
It's on the main site. Here, let me I can send you the link real quick here.
I'm used to pulling it up on my phone, but
Howard already out. Deshaun Elliott didn't practice all week. Javon Holland didn't practice all week.
But you see Mostert on there?
Yeah, Mostert's on here. Limited practice, questionable. Jalen Waddle, limited practice, questionable. Tyreek is limited practice. That quad muscle thing, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, but I said this too. That's why people were like, oh, it ain't that big deal. Tyreek don't have to. Let me tell you another thing that could be affecting Tua. When you're practicing with Waddle 1 week and Claypool and all of them, then the next week you're practicing with Tyreek. First of all, some of these, remember, this is a timing offense. Mm-hmm. That's why we force feed Tyreek so much, because they got the timing down now.
Yeah.
But when you didn't have Tyreek all of last week, just about think about it. He practiced a little bit, but he practiced that much. I said this is an issue because he out there throwing the Berrios, Claypool, and all them. The timing could be off a little bit. Especially if you get him used to Claypool, he might start throwing high balls. What are we getting?
Yeah, I both. You see it now? Yeah. So both wide. I put it in the chat, the private chat.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And that's why I was thinking, Javon Holland another week. What happens if Waddle and Holland don't play?
Waddle and Holland?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, what if Holland and Deshaun Elliott don't play? And Waddle?
Big problems.
Yeah, this is well, we got to see at game time, but it's a mess. But you know what, man? I'm gonna be honest with you. Despite this offense, still should be more productive than it is.
Yeah,
I think Mostert and Waddle might go. I think they'll go. I'm more worried about Deshaun Elliott and Holland.
Mm-hmm. Well, Holland's probably not. They said today was not likely to play.
Yeah, he ain't practiced at all week, but Deshaun Elliott ain't gonna play either. I just don't see it.
No, especially once you get out there, it's 20 degrees below zero. if you got a muscle, it's not like, hey, listen, I have a shoulder. That you got a muscle. That's his calf. And do you remember how he got hurt? He got hurt in pregame, warming up. So that's not good at all. So you're gonna have Cater Kohu and Brandon Jones, I guess, playing out there. It's just not good.
Safety.
Who else you gonna have?
See, that's the problem. We're gonna have all kind of miscommunication in that secondary. It reminds me of the Tennessee game.
And people are talking about them putting Jalen Ramsey to shadow Kelce.
No, it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna work now. Well, I don't know what they're gonna do, because when you look at it now, oh my gosh, Mahomes might go off even in the cold weather. They might still throw the ball, because why wouldn't they if they see that?
Yeah, the entire secondary.
Oh, this just ain't good, man. But yeah, man, it is what it is, man. Any last things you want to talk about? Anything on your mind?
No, I just had fun. We need to hook up. Once we get to the off season, maybe we can do some stuff and talk about the draft and stuff. And I just hope that everybody understands and tries, not just get pissed off at what you say or pissed off at what I say, but understand there's a lot of research. I mean, like this, we're digging into a friggin' injury report. I mean, how many fans pull this up and actually dig into it and understand what it means and then follow up on it? Because if you're listening to at one point I was going to take a screenshot today. There was two tweets back to back by Omar Kelly and Joe Shad. And Joe Shad's tweet said, Mike McDaniel says everybody is going to be okay and probably play this weekend. And then Omar said he showed a video of Waddle. He's like, Waddle's not going.
I saw that.
Yeah. So how did two guys in the media at practice seeing the same thing tell you two different things? That's
what do you think happens in training camp? That's why I be going. That's why I go, because I can't believe nothing they say. It makes absolutely no sense. It's sad, man, but it is what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. This has been a heck of an episode. Miami Dolphins Straight Talk with Barry Cunningham and TDPhinsTalk. We're going to bring this back your way. I promise you. We're going to bring it back this way. We got a good relationship. We don't usually squabble with each other. But listen, before we get out of here, Barry, I want to give a special shout out to all those who serve us, all those who work those type of jobs that are selfless. I want to give a shout out to our nurses. And I also want to give a big shout out to one of our subscribers, Vic, man. You and Jess, man, I appreciate you guys. Jess, thank you for all that you do. I wanted to specifically say that we appreciate all you do as a nurse, and to all the nurses, thank you all so much. It is so selfless. It's one of the most unrecognized, occupations that just doesn't get any love, and we just want to say we thank you. Thank you for your service. Thanks for all you do. Thank you to all of our first responders as well, those who are putting their life on the line, those who are working 10, 12, 14 hours to make sure people are good in any capacity. We're just appreciative of you all. Thank you so much. All right.
I concur.
Yes, absolutely, man. But anything else, Barry?
No, I'm just looking at a comment right here. It's funny. It's funny what we're talking about. And somebody commented on one of my videos. I'm so sick of all the nasty comments. I can't figure out why you people are so mean. I just don't understand that. You get stuff presented to you, whether it be by me or TD or anybody else. You get stuff presented to you, and I think I can speak for you. You're not being mean. You have no ill will towards anybody. You don't wish to a harm. You're talking about football. You're talking about a football game. You're talking about strategic analysis. It's not personal. Don't take it personal. And I don't understand why people always say, "Are you being so mean? You're a hater," and all this stuff. Because I don't know. Maybe I don't know why, but I think you when you're watching TD stuff and you're watching my stuff, understand we're trying to give you information. That's the entirety of the motivation that we're trying to do. Hey, here's what we found. Exactly. Here's what so and so said. We're going to tell you. Doesn't mean malicious. I don't dislike Tua. Don't dislike Mike McDaniel. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. Understand, people can have an opinion. It's not personal. So when I see comments like that, I either think you're 12 or your emotion is the problem. You're so tied in emotionally. I mean, just real quick, somebody texted me or made a comment the other day. I'm going to tell you about two comments. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
One guy made a comment and said, you don't die. Your blood isn't aqua and orange. And you don't have a bunch of Dolphin stuff in the background. And I said, I didn't know that was a prerequisite to talking about the team. And then today I got one which was extremely funny. The guy goes, all your videos say the same bullshit. You keep saying this about Tua. I can't believe I've been watching your videos since last year. And every single time you say this or say that, and I'm thinking to myself, do you realize you're still watching? you understand that. You know what I mean? And I don't think people realize that you control what you hear and see. Exactly. If you don't like what TD has to say, don't watch. If you don't like what I have to say, don't watch. It's free. We're not making you, but we get the same stupid comments. That's all I wanted to say.
Listen, man, leave it to them. I manifested the collapse. Oh, man.
All right, brother.
All right. Thanks so much, Barry. I'll catch you later, man.
Kiss that pretty baby I keep seeing on your videos.
Will do. Thank you so much, man.
All
I appreciate you.
Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight. Just FYI, I'm going to read the super chats. I just try not to read them when I have a guest on. When I actually have a formal guest on the show, I personally feel like that's rude just going into the super chats when, the show's with them, getting their opinion, focus on them. But I wait till the show at the very end when they're gone. Then I read the super chat. So I don't want anybody to feel like I'm slying them or anything. All right. A Burgo said injuries are bad luck. Miami cannot turn the corner until they establish an identity. Run the rock. Them receivers are luxury. Love you, TD. Don't agree with your content at times, but appreciate your energy and work. Love my team, always supporting. Salute to you, Vic. Hey, as always, and everybody's content isn't to be agreed with all the time, that's what it's about. It's opinions, and time tells. Time tells. That's all it's about, man. Yeah, I display the opinion and let time tell. And if I was wrong, hey guys, I was wrong about this. I never saw that happen. If I was right, here you have it, right in our face. It's happening. So that's how it works, man. But I appreciate you. I always love you, Vic. And tell Jess we said we love her and hi. Brad said, I realized these local traditional media members play the narrative games during this tank for Tua era up until today. I just moved on me. Okay. I can definitely tell Greer and some agents have a few minions under his thumb. You see it. You see it because it's information. Who do you think was leaking all of that information? Remember the whole Flores thing? Flores was a cancer. Flores was this and that. Who do you think was leaking it? Who do you think was leaking it? That's clear as day. This is why I like your platform. I gather all the info from all sides and make informed opinions as a Dolphin supporter. Fans don't have to be beholden to info perpetuated by Big O, Omar, or Wingfield. And I agree with you, Brad. Listen to everybody and then come with your conclusion. Anybody who only listens to one opinion, you are limiting yourself. Now, I understand there's people you trust more because they're proven to have done the work. But I always say, make sure you check the post to gauge it. All right. Let's see here. All right, got it. All right, next one. By the way, Jimmy G had comparable numbers to Tua when San Francisco went to the Super Bowl. It's definitely is the system and resources. Yeah, man. But here we are wanting to pay. Listen, we don't want to pay. The only people want to pay is the people that are, we already know who those people are. I get it. I told y'all this before. You don't want to see your favorite player fail. You don't want to see your favorite player that you wish did amazing things and was successful. You don't want to see them fold. You know how many people were rooting for Tim Tebow? And all he did was win. Technically, went to a playoff, won a playoff game, right? You know how many people wanted him to continue? I get it. I get it, man. When you love, like you're a fan of somebody, you want to see them win. I get it. But business is business. Yule boy speaking facts about McDaniel. How many years or chances do you give McDaniel and Tua before they can get over the hump? Time will tell. Do you think Ross will make a move for his guy Harbaugh if we fail horribly Saturday? That would all but end Tua's tenure as well. No. See, the problem is Stephen Ross done did too many waddles. And remember, Stephen Ross is the one responsible for making the decision picking between Flores and Greer. He picked Greer. He picked Greer's side and what it came with, which was Tua and everything. So he got to live with that. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, time will tell, man. Give me a second. One more second. All right, let me put this over here. Help y'all out real quick. All right, let me pull this up. All right, y'all. Real quick, for those who haven't signed up yet, I want y'all to go download Locker. If you have an Apple phone, go ahead and download Locker because for this playoff game versus the Chiefs, we are going to have another Locker contest. This one, if you go in your Locker app, it's going to be pay to play, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It is going to be pay to play. So go ahead and sign up for Locker now. It is a $10 entry for the contest with the $500 jackpot. $500 jackpot on the line, okay? So again, make sure that you sign up for Locker. $500 jackpot. I will be hosting the contest during the game for the first half, all right? Scan the QR code so that you could download it if you have an Apple phone, all right? There you have it. Love y'all so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to TDPhinsTalk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. I will see y'all later. Vic said, say hi to the wifey. Love you guys. Need anything, let us know. Always, man. We love y'all. And tell her thank you. I'll let her know. Appreciate you, Vic. All right, everyone. I'll see y'all soon. Love you. Peace. I am out. Y'all come to the Miami Dolphins Roundtable tomorrow. We're going to have a good conversation about the game. It is my birthday tomorrow. So y'all come through tomorrow and let's have some fun. I will see y'all soon. All right. Yes, Lester, it is Locker. It is Locker. Okay, if you have an Apple iPhone or a MacBook, you can play you can download it that way. All right. See y'all soon. Peace.